This week in a conversation, I have the privilege to welcome Sheila Patel, prolific writer from Liverpool, England. So we're going to be talking about her book series, her pandemic diary. But before we get into this interesting video, I just want to take a short moment to remind you, viewers, that is crucial. It's important to support this literary effort. And the best way to do so is to subscribe to it. And don't forget also, after you finish watching the video, leave us just a little comment to let you know if what was discussed in the video was in some fashion of some interest to you. So remember that if you subscribe to the show, don't forget to click the notification bell so that way every time a video is posted, I'll go directly into your portable. So let's get started. Again, my name is Ardain Isma, and I'm here this afternoon with an impeccable author. I'm here with Sheila Patel. She's joining me from Britain. And we're going to be talking about her wonderful memoir / fiction based on the pandemic. And you know, Sheila, it's such a pleasure to have you this afternoon and the conversation.
Thank you very much for having me.
Exactly. But Sheila, before we get started, would you please tell the viewers of CSMS Magazine, who is Sheila Patel?
Well, I'm the daughter of an immigrant family from India, from the Punjab in India. Parents came here in the 60s. I'm born in the north of England. I've studied here, been to university here, and live here, and also have a family here now.
Very good. And you know what, Sheila? I'm just listening to you saying that you're a daughter of immigrants. I'm an immigrant myself. And right. I have 3 children, and my daughter probably would be just like you too. So, you know, and yeah, so that's interesting. But your story is not about this. It's about the reality that we're living in.
Yes.
Something.
It is a very multicultural story.
Right.
Yeah, and all that comes through, you know, the multicultural family and their past and their journey.
Okay.
Also reflected.
Okay. We're going to be talking about multiculturalism in a minute, but right now let's focus on the main theme of the book, which is the pandemic. So why is the pandemic diary, Sheila? Why did you feel so compelled to write the story?
About 5 years ago, I started to write a mini-series called The Magic Vodka Wardrobe, which is based on a Punjabi Sikh family based in Yorkshire, and they live in a corner shop, and upstairs in the upstairs bedroom there's a magical wardrobe where the Indian girls go in and drink and enjoy themselves, hiding from the very strict family. So in lockdown, because that series is about everyday things that go on in the news, what's happening in the world. Because they run a shop and the mother's always sat at the counter reading the newspaper. So a lot of that is incorporated in the books. And so during the pandemic in lockdown, I thought I would just write like what those characters would be doing in lockdown. Again, coping with panic buying, their customers, providing that service to the community, and how the girls would cope working from home, and all these issues. So I wrote it in the style of a diary. I just kept a note every day of what the Prime Minister was saying, what the scientists were saying, what was happening in the rest of the world. But I just made it funny, satire.
Okay, you know what? I'm thinking about the Prime Minister Boris Johnson. I remember at the very beginning, he was just like Donald Trump's line.
Yes, Donald Trump's in it as well.
Yeah. So until, you know, he caught the virus. I remember that.
That's right.
My question is, Sheila, can you share with the viewers your first few hours upon learning about the situation that we were living, your first few hours officially within the pandemic?
Well, my husband works at the university,
Okay.
and in the beginning of March, he said there was some problem in China, and maybe the foreign students are not returning for the Easter term.
Right.
Both of my sons were at university as well, and they said they've had some information.
Okay.
And then I told all my family, my brothers and sisters in Yorkshire, something's happening. If you need to prepare, and oh, Sheila, you're always exaggerating. There's nothing going on. So I started to read about it, and I also have many friends in China because we used to work in China. Originally, I'm an engineer.
Oh, okay.
So we worked in the wind energy industry in China. So we were talking to them, and then started preparing and just keeping a note of things and what the government was saying.
Uh-huh. I myself, I remember when we were told that we were living in a pandemic, my mother was in the hospital. And my wife, my siblings, we all went because she was having an operation, so surgery. So we went in. We saw so many things going on. You know, when you walk into a hospital, you walk immediately into the front desk. There's always, you know, those chairs, you know, for people. But that day, that specific day, they were removing everything, which I couldn't understand what was going on.
Oh, you could see it then.
Exactly. That's when we realized that they say from this day on, nothing will be here. Everything will be removed, and all visit restrictions also will be. Yeah, exactly. So that's when we realized, that, you know, things may not be the same as we knew it. And in fact, things have not been the same. I don't know on your end, how is it out there where you are right now? Is it?
But I think at the beginning we thought it really was maybe a 6-week pandemic. We thought maybe it's just for a few weeks, you know, like Boris Johnson was saying, and a small lockdown, and you know, we would beat it. I didn't even think we were going to need a vaccine or anything, the way they were trying to contain it.
Okay, so did you have any close friends or relative affected by it?
Yes. My nephew passed away during the pandemic, and my brother recently passed away as well. Yes.
So sorry. It's like my wife. My mother.
I did write those books in 2020 and 2021. I've only published them this year, but still, and I dedicated them to my nephew Deepak and my brother Vinny.
Okay, that's nice. You know, I know a lot of families were affected, even in my own family.
Very tough time.
Mm-hmm. So I just have to tell you just to keep the faith. Because, you know, at some point we will leave this behind us. We just don't know how long.
I know.
Every time they tell us that every time they say, well, you know, I think we won the fight. And then there's some breaking news somewhere, there's an outbreak somewhere. And before we know, restrictions also have been put in place again, you know. So so we just have to.
And there's always new things, new strains, and like then we've had this monkeypox, and then we've had. Today, I heard on the news something about polio. Mm-hmm. So it seems to be becoming a way of life now to hear these things.
So as a writer, okay, writing something so vivid, something so tragic, you know, how do you feel? You know, do you think sometimes in your emotion, your own personal emotion, would interfere with the writing itself?
Well, on some reviews I've had for this particular series, people have said they can feel that in my writing, that there is that seriousness, there is that sadness during lockdown, but also the humor is still there. Because you can you know, there's plenty of things to say about the government and the scientists and people queuing for the vaccine and all these. Some of them you can laugh about it. And when people were panic buying toilet roll of all things, and everybody was baking, and the mothers were going crazy because of the homeschooling. Mm-hmm. So there is a factor where you can really expand on it and really make it funny.
And I like that, you know, you
Yeah.
can still
Like
find
all the men were like cavemen with big beards, and all the ladies that hadn't been for haircuts, they were using YouTube videos to trim their hair. And this is the lighter side of it.
Okay. And you know what? So, and this is book one of the series?
There's two now, yeah.
Book two.
The first one was called The Pandemic Died, and it was Aunt Sheila is a character in the other series, and it's her memoirs, looking at her nieces and her sisters, how they're coping. And the second one is called The Vaccine Strikes Back.
That's interesting.
Because there's big Star Wars fans in all the series, so we were thinking, what can we call it? And so The Vaccine Strikes Back is about, you know, we're all waiting for the vaccine to come out to be approved, and then we're all waiting for our letters so we can all go, and Aunt Sheila makes sure she orders a lovely off-the-shoulder dress so she can look fabulous when she goes to get her jab. You know, it's this kind of thing. Yeah.
And could you please give us a little bit more about the protagonist of this story?
So Aunt Sheila just observes like how so her answer to everything is, oh, just go have a vodka shot. Just forget about it. Have a drink. Open another bottle of something and forget about it. Sleep today. Don't get dressed today. Stay in your pajamas. And so the mood's also there, the downside of it. And then the other side is just to keep everybody else positive.
And you know what? They say skillful writers who can find ways to inject humor, even in the most very, you know, difficult situation. Yeah, so such as you are. So you are very skillful at doing that, you know. And I think one of the reasons why your readers so passionate about you is because, and then one of the most really difficult moments, you still find ways to inject a little bit of humor in it. And also that brings or keeps the positive attitude that we need.
It does.
To keep on going.
And it's also, you've got to record the difficult things, and also you've got to be a bit, you've got to write some of the comedy writing on subjects like this is quite dangerous writing, because not everybody understands your sense of humor. It can be offensive.
Misunderstood, those who, you know, misunderstood, you know, but at the end of the day, people need to understand this is a work of art.
Yes.
You know?
It's fiction.
Exactly.
Yes.
So let me ask you this specific question, Sheila. What really made you, in other words, what triggered your passion? What has triggered that, your passion to become such an impeccable writer as you are?
See, at school, I always studied the sciences. I went on to study engineering, but I always loved to read. And I used to, the really funny things, simple books that are very, very funny, same with comedies. I remember I used to love Jerry Lewis and the Marx Brothers, the daft things. And so I've always used to think I need to have a go at writing something. So later in life, I just wrote a short story for my niece as a gift, and she said to me, write another few chapters. And before I knew it, it became a short story, and she said, just publish it on Amazon.
And then?
Yeah, you just have to take that step.
And then this is how it all started,
leap of faith. Yes.
Okay, now this specific question, because I know if you married, your spouse, you know, you need that support.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just says I'm crazy.
Just he did say that. Well, but at the end of the day, you know, you come to share the story with him, right?
With my husband, it's rather than criticizing, because there is no storyline. It's a memoir diary of every day. It's more, oh God, yeah, I remember when that happened. God, yeah, we went through. That's been so long ago. I can't believe that. And so it's more that kind of thing. And says, oh, your humor is you're just crazy. But he laughs. He said it's very funny. He finds it very funny. We have similar humor.
how is it in Britain, especially where you are now, for a writer to participate in writing communities or writers associations? You know, how is it, and how have you? What have you been doing to promote the book in the sense that people in the community can be more
I've
aware
done
about
very. I'm afraid I've done very little. I just have a following on Twitter,
it? Okay.
and I self-publish on Amazon. I have a few articles in the newspaper about myself, and I've just never got round to it because I didn't think it was an area anybody would be interested in, short stories and comedies. But it's really something I'm going to look at in the future.
Mm-hmm. You'd be surprised to see how so many readers interested in short stories.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
I didn't think anybody would like it because it's a very acquired taste. But I've got a lot of fans in America, and a lovely lady, Veronica, another writer friend of mine. She came on a cruise to Liverpool because I live near Liverpool, and I met her for the day.
really,
And,
wow.
and another chat friend of mine from Thailand and people here that we've all met up, and it's just amazing. And I always have a guest writer as well who writes one chapter in most of my books, so that's very nice.
And I'm telling you, you've just added two more fans, you know, in your readership base in the United States. One is Gabrielle Constance, and two
Yeah.
is Ardain Isma, you know. So you are the two new friends.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you something now. When you conceived, if you remember, when you conceived the first manuscript, okay, so who did you turn to? A friend or a publisher? Who did you turn to?
I wrote the whole thing, and then I gave it to my nieces. I have three grown-up nieces, and many more. And then I gave it to an editor to have a look at and clean up, and then she said, "Have a go, publish it, see what you think." Had the cover made, and I just put it out there.
And Sheila, I understand you just this is going to be a 5 books series, right?
The first book is six books in the series.
Okay.
The first series, and this is I've done 2 so far. And every time there's a new pandemic, I keep thinking, I'm not writing another one about the new pandemic. I'm not writing the one about polio. Okay. So I may try something else in the future.
Okay. Now, on that something else in the future, what that something else will be? Could you please share it with me or with the viewers?
Yeah, I'd like to have a go at some science fiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about a book about multiculturalism? Because I know we talked about it at the beginning of our conversation.
Yes.
You think that that would be one of your genre also you would use?
I don't know.
You don't know yet.
I like to write about not real things.
Okay, like a fantasy. Now, another something I've been speaking with a lot of writers regarding this new phenomenon right now, which is dystopian fantasy. Now,
dystopian. Right.
Do you see yourself becoming with it?
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we're talking, Sheila, what is so fascinating about this dystopian fantasy? Why?
That's I think it's escapism again, like comedy.
Okay.
I think dystopian. I'll always turn to something scientific. Also, I've got a scientific background. So anything that to do with space and time travel, all these kind of things is in our interest anyway. I have 2 sons and we're all interested, and I've got 4 brothers, and we all grew up watching Star Wars and these kind of things to do with space and dystopian. And I do like that.
But also you can make your characters to be multicultural too, as a writer.
Oh yes, yeah. Because all the characters in the Magic Vodka Wardrobe, it's an Indian family, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know I have some Indian friends who lives in India and also here in the United States.
Yeah.
And I just had a very nice conversation with an Indian movie producer. Her name is Tanvi Gandhi, and she's very good also. I don't know if you heard of her, but she's great also.
Right.
And I'm very fascinated about Indian writers now, Indian producers now. Yeah. So this is something that I'm beginning, to be aware of. And
Yes.
now you British Indian, so maybe you may not know well about such a huge readership or viewership in India, which is a country of more than 1 billion people. So,
Yes.
so I think such a rich literature too, and I'm so proud of Indian literature. Now that I'm learning so much about it.
I have a few Indian authors on Twitter, and I read their books, short story writers. I always read their books as well, and keep in touch with them. I have a lovely relationship with them as well.
Have you ever been in India?
When I was very young, I went with my parents,
The parents.
and then only on holiday really to Goa. Yes.
Okay.
Have you been?
I've never been to India, but right now, so I think I might have. My wife and I, we were interested in having a trip to Dubai, and from
Yes.
Dubai we would go to Mumbai.
Yeah.
Now I think we're going to do it because I have
Oh,
two.
you should do it.
Yeah, I think we could do it now.
Yeah. Dubai is an interesting place as well. You'd like that.
That's where Tanvi lives, so she'll take me to a nice restaurant. She said so.
Oh.
So that's interesting. But let me ask you something, because we're running down in the conversation. When do we think we can see book 3 in the series?
I better start writing tomorrow.
Okay.
You're giving me a push now.
Okay.
I don't always write. I write in lumps almost.
Okay.
And I have a good drive, and I write it very quickly.
Okay.
And get it out there, and then I have a long time when I just in the back, just maybe thinking about some ideas.
That's interesting. Do you have the copy of the book now, so we can show it to the audience?
Yeah. This is the new one.
There you go.
Vaccine Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to have a look. Send you a copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
that's the first one.
Yes,
Yeah.
Pandemic Diary, right? Sheila's Pandemic Diary.
Yeah.
So you possibly becoming a prolific writer. So
I must say the books are actually political as well, because Aunt Sheila has a view on politics as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm gonna be. I can't wait to lay my head on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they're always Zoom calling with India, so they're always trying to keep in touch with their heritage. So there's a lot goes on even for a short book.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on in there. Yeah.
So I think the viewers also will be very much interested in reading it.
Yeah.
And
it's that very, very British humor, if you like the British comedies in America.
I interviewed a British Bulgarian actor who lives in London.
Right.
About a year ago. He's a great actor, a comedian.
Right.
He was very funny though.
Oh, good.
I know. I know. And my last question, Sheila, is there's a lesson you want to give to any young writer like you who would want to be embarking upon a journey to write he or her own diary about the pandemic? Or it doesn't have to be the pandemic, but something so tragic as a pandemic. So what advice would you give to the writer?
I was sat with a young girl yesterday. She's only 20. And I was reading my diaries actually, because I haven't read them in such a long time, and I knew we were going to be discussing them today.
Okay.
And she said, "Are those your books?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "I've been keeping a diary for years." She's only 20.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "I'd like to do that, publish something."
Okay.
I said, "Well, you should." and that's it.
You know,
If
that's
if you've made the effort to keep notes and keep a log of things, you've obviously got something to say.
beautiful. Yes. Share it with the world.
Yes.
And that's interesting.
Yeah.
And this wonderful note, I have to say, it's been more than a pleasure to have a prolific writer, impeccable author, Sheila Patel, joining me from.
Lovely talking to you, sir.
Okay, great.
Good evening to you.